everybody, this is Palm Springs Cindy coming to you from the living room of my house. I'm actually sitting in front of my television console and the barn doors to it are closed right now. But I wanted to share with you guys some thoughts, some life lessons from my point of view. And now that I have really started a new chapter of my life, I've been very reflective, and since I've turned 70, which I hate to even say out loud, it has given me pause. And so recently I was watching this show, which I know you guys are familiar with, it's an Oprah Winfrey show, and it's something like Super Soul Sunday or Life Lessons, whatever, with Oprah, something like that. A typical Oprah show where she has nice conversations. Well, anyway, I got to thinking about a few things, and one of them was, and I know this topic, we've seen this topic before, but the topic about, what would I tell my younger self if I had the chance to do that? And then as I was thinking about, that topic, I just sort of started thinking about things things that excuse me, things that I now know to be true that I didn't really know to be true when I was younger. They're themes that I have learned throughout my life. They are common threads that through my own life experience I've learned, and I have internalized these life lessons. So anyway, I just got to thinking about it, and I thought, well, that might make a fun video, sort of this, life lessons from Palm Springs Cindy, from her point of view as a 70-year-old. And I actually did write, I have notes. I only have, I think, 6 things to share with you. I could have written a lot more, but I thought, you know what, this will be kind of fun to break up and do an occasional life lessons from Palm Springs Cindy video once in a while. But before I begin, as I was just saying about the Oprah Winfrey television show that kind of got me thinking about this, I recently watched, you guys, I was cracking up, and you will too. I was recently watching a show that she did with Gayle King, and she and Gayle King are just best buds, gal pals. So Oprah was asking Gayle, and I'm sure you guys saw it or certainly heard about it. She was asking Gayle about her interview with R. Kelly, that rapper guy, R. Kelly. And, I didn't know who he was, but I did see the interview or reruns of it or whatever, where he, and if you don't know, this is just a little bit of context, that she interviewed R. Kelly. He's been charged with kind of like sex trafficking or having minors over to his home, for not the right reasons, so on. So anyway, but at one point, and battery. So at one point in the interview, R. Kelly got up and he just went, he went off. He was just started yelling, and he stood up and he walked around and he got, at one point he got kind of close to Gayle. So Oprah's question to Gayle was, and some of you may have seen this, something like, were you ever afraid? Were you ever afraid that he might hit you because he was so out of control? And Gayle said, honestly, now these are my words, not hers, but it's a summary. She said, honestly, if you really want to know what I was thinking, while R. Kelly was up and doing his ranting, a piece of his spit, like as he was talking really loud, a piece of his saliva landed on my lip, and Gayle said, all I could think of was, oh my gosh, I've got R. Kelly's saliva on my lip. What do I do? Do I wipe it off? Do I pretend like it's not there? What am I going to do? So, oh my gosh, who knew? So I thought that was cute of her that she shared that. So just like Gail shared something, that was intimate to her in an interview, I'm going to share some life lessons that I have learned and want to share with you as a woman that's 70 years old now. Okay, these are in no particular order. Okay, one thing that I've learned to do is to find the gold in people. Find what's good about them. Find the goodness in their heart. You may it's easy to love beautiful people. It's easy to love people that are kind and loving back to you. But everybody has gold in their personality. Everybody has goodness in them. And so what I've learned is to try to really find the gold in people. When you meet people, and after teaching for so many years, you meet a lot of people, and you really, as a teacher, like a police officer, firefighter, and so many other, a waiter, waitress, so many other professions, you really are, I don't know how to say this, but you work for the public. And we have to be at the public sort of beck and call. I mean, as a teacher, I couldn't go off on the parents or anything. I mean, I had to smile and nod. But while I was smiling and nodding at maybe a personality that was a bit hard to handle, I thought, find the gold, Cindy. There's, find what is appealing, find what is good about this person. Let the rest of the stuff fall. Okay, another thing is to be accepting, because not everyone is like me. It's okay to feel uncomfortable around people who are different than I am. And I know, like, growing up in very middle class white community, in the 50s, right after World War II, our economy was taking off. But as I've lived 70 years now, I've learned that not everybody is white middle class. Not everybody lived in a Leave It to Beaver neighborhood and grew up in a Leave It to Beaver type neighborhood like I did. And there are many other, there are so many differences in people. And I'm talking about all kinds, not just race, not just religion, but cultures. People are different. And that I want to be accepting. And even though it might be uncomfortable, there might be some uncomfortable moments when I have gotten around, or as I've grown up, when I've gotten around people that, maybe their food was different than mine, their family traditions were different than mine. But, and I've learned to step back and to enjoy that. I think about the Mexican culture that's so prevalent here in Southern California, and what would we have done without the mariachis, the Mexican music, the Zumba classes, the Mexican food, the margaritas, the Cinco de Mayas, the quinceañeras. I mean, all of the flavor and the customs that go with someone that's different than me brings so much richness into my life. So another life lesson from Cindy, Palm Springs Cindy, is to be accepting of people that are not always like me. I'll keep this personal. Okay, something else that I've learned is something that said, it's good enough. So what I mean by that is I've learned that oftentimes I might not take on a task, or I might not volunteer, or I might not step up in a way that I should have or could have, because in my own mind I was thinking that I wouldn't be able to do it good enough, that I wouldn't have been able to do it perfectly, or I would not have been able to do it to a standard that I thought it should have been done. So as a result, I didn't volunteer and I didn't step forward. And what I've learned is it would have been good enough. And, I think of all the times that people hesitate bringing forth their gifts, their talents, their energy, I can't think of how I want to say this, but what they have to offer. They have a lot to offer. I had a lot to offer, but in my own mind, I thought it wasn't good enough, so I didn't offer it. So what I've learned as I've gotten older is it is good enough. It may not be perfect, but it's good enough. Don't let that stop me from giving and offering my time and talents. Okay, another thing is just do it. And this is something that's very personal to me. It's sort of a part of my DNA. I'm not kidding you guys. And by this I mean, oftentimes I personally have taken the easy way out. I have not taken the steps because I thought maybe they were too hard. Let's don't go camping. What a drag. I have to pack. I have to, I'm going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be dirty. I'm going to be inconvenient sleeping on a little mat and all that. But you know what? Just do it because it creates memories. It's part of a life experience. It's fun. And it's not, life is about doing things, not just sitting on the couch, not just hanging around the house, not just, taking it easy all the time. And I think that my job, because I worked so hard for so many years, and I did a lot while I was working, planning field trips and, fundraisers and parent nights and those kind of things, that when I was home, I really needed my home to be my safe haven. But as I've gotten older, I've noticed that I tend to take like what's that law of physics, something that is not in motion will stay not in motion. And so I've sort of said to myself, Cindy, you have to just do it. It may not be comfortable. You may not want to get up that early. You may not want to pack the suitcase and make sure you've got, do your laundry ahead of time. You may not want to get to the grocery store right now, but people are going to be coming over and you want to, be a nice hostess or whatever. So instead of backing out of occasions, instead of backing out of activities that would enrich my life, that would bring memories, that would be fond, something just planted in my heart that would be a warm fuzzy, I have to remind myself, just do it. And I have to be honest, I don't always just do it, but it is something that I have learned. Okay, let's see what else is here. All right, another thing is that what I've learned, a life lesson, is that my life has seasons, and the seasons come and go, and the seasons are not always the same. So some seasons, I sort of have some things down here. Like when I was younger, there was a season, of course, like to be a child, a season to be a teenager, a season to be an emerging adult, a season to be a student. But, closer to my age, I look back and there was the season to retire came upon me. There are seasons of friendships that come and that go. And who says that you're not in the same season of your life all the time. I don't have the same teacher friends that I had when I was teaching. It's not that season of my life anymore. So, so those friends have gone by the wayside. Not that we certainly wouldn't say hello to one another, but, we don't make plans to get together because that season is behind me now. And so, now I have a new season ahead of me, a season of a single life, a season of being a homeowner on my own, a season of getting older. What's that going to be like? And I think, there are seasons where we are busier at times. Then other times, I know, let me give you a few more examples because this is kind of a big deal for me. Like, I remember when I was a young woman and a young mother, and I was working and a wife and all that. And I would go to church on Sundays, and there were all, people, the volunteers that would hand out the bulletins and that would help with communion and would stay after to clean up and, make the coffee and put the donut table together or whatever. And I always felt a little bit guilty that I wasn't one of those volunteers, but I really needed to be a taker at that point in my life. I was a giver all week, and on Sunday morning, I needed to just go to church, hear the word of God, say hello to my church pals, be renewed, be enriched, be inspired, be filled by the Holy Spirit, and go home. And that was the season I was in. But now I'm in a season where I can be the one that volunteers. I can be the one that helps with the fundraiser. I can be the one that cleans up after church. So there are seasons to our lives, and I think for me, it's important to recognize when one season is ending and another one is beginning, and not to be too hard on myself. If I'm still trying to march to the beat of that season, when that season is over. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I only have one last one. And this sounds kind of simple, but it is a life lesson that I have learned. I have enjoyed entertaining. I've had a big, beautiful home, and even now I love my home, and I look forward, and I actually have done a little entertaining. But one life lesson that I've learned is to be inclusive. And by that, I really mean, it's, the more the merrier. I remember hesitating when I was a younger woman, and I was less experienced with life and entertaining. And, I would hesitate to invite certain people or to say it's okay to bring your kids or whatever. Bring a +1, bring a +2, we'll make the meal stretch. I shied away from that, when really what I've learned is not to be afraid to be inclusive, to go ahead and invite those extra people. Go ahead and, I may be uncomfortable inviting or meeting up with or working alongside of certain people because, once again, here's a common thread. They may be different than I am, or they may come from a different walk of life, and maybe I'm thinking, well, how's that going to work? And, what if they bring all their kids and, they'll be too noisy, or, they'll get their sticky hands on everything, whatever. But what I have learned is it always seems to work out for the better when I decide to bring them all. Don't just invite a few of your girlfriends to your birthday party. Let's invite the whole class. Let's go to the park or whatever. I'm going to, the idea of being inclusive just to me means when I'm planning, when I'm thinking of who I'm going to meet, when I'm thinking of a gathering of some kind, even if I go to excuse me, see, I don't have my water, my mouth's getting dry. Even if I'm going to some type of a class, like even a Zumba class, a yoga class, whatever. If I notice someone, because I've been that person and I will continue to be that person that is alone, or it's my first time and I'm looking around and I don't really know how things work. I want to, when I see someone else like that, I want to include them. Oh, let me show you where you get the mats. Oh, let me show you where, the water fountain is. Let me show you where you can put your towel, whatever. Include others instead of going solo. Instead of less, let there be more. And that's sort of what I mean by to be inclusive. Okay, you guys, those are about 5 or 6 little life lessons that I've learned at the age of 70 that I was just going to share with you guys, pass them on. Whatever. It's all part of the aging process, becoming a little bit wiser, becoming a little bit more relaxed with life. And so many other things that I'm going to share as they come to my mind. But please feel free to share your comments with me. I'd love it. You know how much I appreciate all of you guys. I love you all. P.S. I love you. Until our next conversation.